I think that young lawyers should try cases, and I probably said that where I've said, well, try the shitty cases. Well, try the cases that other people think are shitty, right? Oh, that's a shitty case. But ask yourself the question, is that a shitty case for the person who you're representing?
Welcome to the Tip the Scales podcast, where we discuss running and growing your law firm. I'm your host, Maria Monroy, president and co-founder of LawRank. Today, I am joined by someone that literally does not need an introduction, Nick Rowley. I'm so excited that I got to record with him. So we talked about trying the shitty cases, cold plunges and cold showers, exercise, forever chemicals in schools. And this was actually really scary. I just feel like the whole world is just so toxic. But anyways, I hope that you guys enjoy this episode. Nick Rowley.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it'll pick up.
This will pick up and it'll cancel out all the noise?
Yeah, we'll fix
Really?
it on the back end. Yeah, we
Okay,
did it
cool.
last year. It worked out. Thank you for doing this.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Trying to get you to walk over here. I mean, you're a celebrity in this space. I had never seen anything like it. Like, really? What does that feel like?
It's a little embarrassing to hear that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Why? You don't think you should own it? Like it's so amazing that people look to you like that?
It's nice to be able to come to a place like this with so many lawyers and to have the opportunity to share some stuff that I've learned and, some of my thoughts and to maybe help them be a little better. But I get more out of this than they do. I get so much out of speaking to others and teaching others. I learn so much and it fills me up. So it's humbling. And you have people come and say nice things to you afterwards or want to take a picture, have you sign their book that they have. It feels good, but it's also, there's a bit of, a little bit of embarrassment. I don't know if that's the right word, but I feel like I appreciate that person. I should be the one thanking them. And so that's what I say. Someone says thank you. I say, thank you. Right? Thank you.
Do you think the embarrassment comes from like childhood? Like feeling like that like there's like a shame associated with attention?
I don't think it's shame. Maybe it's not, maybe I don't feel that it's well deserved. Right?
So it's like a worthiness thing. It's
maybe.
totally well
Maybe a
deserved
little bit.
though. I mean, you're a legend. How is it not well deserved?
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe that's what keeps you going.
I think I know I'm always striving to do better. I'm always striving to do better and, help others and to be a better example, to do a better job. And maybe it's that I don't see myself the way that others might see me.
I think that's very common though.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Well, if like I told you, you've done I looked at your podcast and I looked at some of the episodes you've done. You asked me to be on Tip the Scale, right? So all right, well, what is this? Is this a, legit podcast? And I told you it was really good and I'm really impressed.
Thank you.
And, what does that feel like?
I don't like it either.
There we go.
Yeah. Not sure why.
I don't know why.
I think it comes from childhood. I really do. For me, at least, that's why I asked in your case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't handle compliments well.
Well, my childhood was not a childhood where I got any praise or told that I was good at anything. If anything, I was bad. I was never good enough. I was not a good kid. Nobody was ever proud of me. So it's tough for me to be proud of myself. I am, but it's taken a lot of work to get there, and sometimes I'm not. And sometimes it's a struggle. So maybe that's where it comes from.
I don't know. I think everything comes from childhood. Like it fascinates me.
Yeah.
And I think that people that are really successful have usually had some hardships during their childhood. All different kinds, but I definitely think that there's something there. And sometimes I worry about that with my kids, that they're like too privileged, like things are too easy for them. And I'm like, are you going to have it in, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I have a lot of kids. And
how many kids do you have?
I have 11.
What?
That
I didn't know
I
this.
fathered, and I have one who I've adopted.
Wow, that's amazing.
12.
It's a lot. I have 3. I thought I had a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids. Yeah.
And what's the oldest age and the youngest?
27. My oldest is,
You have an
his
adult
name is
child.
Tristan. He's a combat corpsman, a medic assigned to the 1st Marines.
Wow.
And my next 2 oldest are combat medics with Army National Guard, also going to college. And then they go down to age 4.
Wow. How old are you?
47.
Oh my goodness, you're so young to have a 20.
I started when I was 20.
Yeah.
I became a dad at 20.
That's crazy. I was having lunch with some younger lawyers today. They told me to ask you about, I assume they've heard you talk about this, how young lawyers should try shitty cases. I don't know if they use the word shitty, but just like not great cases.
I think that young lawyers should try cases, and I probably said that where I've said, well, try the shitty cases. Well, try the cases that other people think are shitty, right? Oh, that's a shitty case. But ask yourself the question, is that a shitty case for the person who you're representing? If you were to ask them, is your case shitty? Is what happened to you and what you've gone through, having to, file a complaint and now, go in front of a jury, is it shitty? Is what you're doing shitty? If the answer to the question is yeah, then you probably shouldn't be trying the case. But as lawyers, right, we look at a case, oh, that's a great case to try because we're going to go in and win and have a good result.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So the difficult cases, right, the cases that maybe the defense lawyer who you're up against might say, well, that's a shitty case. Take those cases and go in and show that they are legitimate. Go in and show that that person deserves their day in court. So a case that other people might categorize as shitty, that might be a case that we look at and we go, you know what? No, that's a case that needs to be tried. And that person deserves a lawyer to believe in their case. That person deserves someone who's going to believe in them and go stand in front of a jury and stand up for them. So that's what I did. I went out and I took what other lawyers would call their shitty cases. And I said, I'll try any case, anywhere, anytime, so long as it's for a person that deserves it. Because if it's for a person that deserves it, it's not a shitty case. It might be shitty to the rest of us in the legal world, right?
Yeah. Everybody wants those
the glory
slam
cases.
dunk cases that they're like, this is a great case.
But to that human, it's not shitty.
Right.
To that human, it might be the most important thing that they've ever had to deal with, the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And you going and standing up for them and looking a jury in the eye and believing in them might be the one thing that saves that human being because everybody else looks at them as shitty. So try those cases if you're a young lawyer.
Now, I heard people talking about cold plunges after your session. So did you talk about that?
I talked about cold showers.
Okay.
Because if you want someone to change, you want to start with, baby steps.
Okay.
Right?
Do you cold plunge?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I used to take cold showers when I lived in Mexico City. I live in Miami now. The water's not cold. It's not cold.
But you can get a cold shower.
I guess maybe there's a way to do it. And
Turn the shower on barely, jump right in.
no, I do. It's not cold enough in Miami. The
In the
water's hot.
Wow.
Like warm. It doesn't shock me the way that it would here, for example.
Okay.
Here, if I do it, it shocks me. So then I tried cold plunging,
Yeah.
which I'd done before, and it turns out I'm allergic to cold.
You're allergic to
I
cold?
get hives. Not crazy. And I felt great when I was doing cold showers.
How long do the hives last?
Not long, but it's a histamine reaction's probably not good.
You need to do it more. Give it a try.
You think?
Yeah.
It also makes me itchy.
Yeah. Actually, being in the cold does, especially if you go from the cold to the hot, you'll be super itchy.
That's what happened.
That happens to everybody.
If I hadn't gone to hot, I probably wouldn't have gone hives. So then I got kind of weird about it and didn't want to.
Well, you've misdiagnosed yourself with an allergy.
No, it's called.
Now we've corrected that.
Really? No, it's really a thing. It's called.
Mm-hmm.
There's a name for it. I can't remember what it is. Yeah, but I'm curious. What else do you do for health, to stay healthy?
I work out 5-6 days a week. I believe that my trainer Tate is here.
Okay.
I train religiously.
Is it what type of training?
Weight training.
Okay.
Cardio, but a lot of weight training.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to max out and show people, how strong I am, but I'm lifting weight.
Yep. That's what I do.
And using every different, part of my muscular system, right? So different exercises, not always doing the same thing. You have to switch it up. You have to trick your body.
What if you're in trial? Do you still stick to
I'm up at 5 a.m. or 4:30 a.m. I'm working out every day before trial.
Do you think a lot of lawyers mess up in that regard? Like
I
they have a
do.
trial, they don't sleep well, they're eating like shit, they're not working out. Do you think that impacts them?
Absolutely. Yeah, the energy they're carrying into the courtroom, they're burnt out. If they were to go to sleep earlier and wake up earlier, move their body, they'll be more effective. They think that they've got to review stuff till midnight and then, wake up at 4 a.m. You don't. You don't.
I agree. I've always found that odd. Just because I don't know, I need a lot of sleep. So maybe that's why I'm like, how can you do that on like 4 hours of sleep? Like,
It might be, there's an exception, of course, to every rule. There have been times when I'm in trial and I go, shit, I got to pretty much pull an all-nighter to write this brief, but it shouldn't be the norm. That might happen a couple times a year where I have to do something like that.
yeah. And you and your wife work together, right?
We do.
What's that like?
Sometimes it's great.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's tough.
I work with my husband, so I get it.
Yeah, it was really great in the beginning. It was like, oh my God, this is the most awesome thing ever. And then, reality sets in and I'd say that 9 out of 10 days, it's great. And then one day it's really tough, but you have to kind of set that aside and go in and do your job.
Yeah.
And support each other. And I think on the tough days, when you support each other and you get through them, it makes things better. Yeah. It builds trust that, hey, we're going to have tough days, but we're going to work through it. And I know that, I can count on you and you can count on me, even when we certainly love each other, but maybe we don't like each other much on that Thursday. Right?
Yeah. Now, I heard you have a case against Monsanto right now.
I do.
And this is like one of my biggest issues with the U.S. It's just I feel like we are contaminated left and right, like our food supply, our water supply. I want to hear a little bit about the case.
Sure. So we hear a lot about Monsanto and Agent Orange, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, poisoned a lot of Vietnam veterans. We hear a lot about Monsanto and Roundup, right?
Yes.
Heard about the Roundup cases and people getting cancer. What we haven't heard a lot about is Monsanto's biggest, baddest poison, which is, they're called PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls. Polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, are a forever chemical, one of 11 forever chemicals that have been outlawed in every country in the world. They can't be produced
even
commercially.
in the U.S. now?
In the U.S. in 1979,
Wow.
They were outlawed.
Okay.
Monsanto knew that this product was toxic, that PCBs are neurotoxins, that they cause cancer, that they also disrupt the endocrine system, get into our bodies and mimic estrogen, do awful, awful things to every system in our body. PCBs are toxic to every cell, every system in the human body. Monsanto knew this. They knew it for decades. They even went so far as to falsify scientific research and publications to trick and convince the world that PCBs weren't as toxic as they truly are, using those fake studies, fraudulent science, up until just 6 years ago, convincing the government, the EPA, to set lower standards. And they're in 1/3 of America's public schools. PCBs are in 1/3 of America's public schools.
How?
And they are responsible. They're in the fluorescent lights. They're in the caulking. They're in the backs of books. They're everywhere. You have them in your body. Your children have them in their bodies, and they're bad. You look at the increasing rates of cancer. You look at the hormonal issues that kids are having. You look at the early puberty. We have a young girl at the age of 6 who started her period. We have little boys who start sprouting pubic hair at the age of 6 and 7 at these schools. We have early puberty happening all throughout America in these schools where kids are being exposed to toxic PCBs.
Is there a way to know which schools have them?
Yes. You have to do your homework and your research, and you need to find out how old are the fluorescent lights. Look at the age of the school. Look at the last time it was remodeled. Look at the remodeling work that was done. And you're going to find that a lot of schools still have PCBs, 1/3 of America's public schools. And you're going to find that the schools that even have had remediation still have PCB levels that are toxic and that are poisoning children and teachers.
That's crazy.
Bad stuff. They're everywhere in the world. And Monsanto knew this was happening. knew it was happening and covered it up. I mean, we've got the proof. We've got the proof. We've got the documents where they say burn the evidence. We've got the whistleblower testifying, yeah, we falsified the science. We switched out dead rats with live rats, rats that were dead and oozing through the cage. We threw them away and put live rats there and then counted them and said, look at the scientific research. PCBs are safe. They've got studies that killed all the rabbits that Monsanto buried. I mean, bad stuff. The most awful, eye-opening, jaw-dropping evidence that you could ever imagine seeing we're showing to American juries.
Now, what's the solution to something like this? Because I feel like things like this happen, right? Like my husband made my kids watch Blackwater because they wanted to eat like shitty food and they did not understand why food with bad stuff would be sold.
Blackwater or dark water?
Dark water, sorry. I forget, whatever it's called. You know what I'm talking about, right?
The expert that helped expose that and make that case is our expert. His name is Dr. Dahlgren in our case. He's also the expert that made the Aaron Brockovich case.
Yeah. So is there a solution so that this stops happening?
It's not only banding together and litigating these cases, but it's educating our politicians because these big chemical corporations are getting laws passed to make themselves immune. And it's happening in different states where they use their money and their lobbying power to go in and get state legislatures to, pass laws that make it impossible for us to bring a lawsuit.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, that's the case with vaccines. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but they're also immune. I mean, I'm sure they have their reasons for that, but yeah, I didn't know that how do they get away with, I don't get it. How do you get around that if there are laws?
Well, if there are laws, then you got to, challenge those laws in the courts, but good luck, right? Because most of these states that have passed laws that give big companies like that immunity or that make it impossible to sue have judges that have been appointed by these same politicians that passed these laws. We live in a country with a lot of corruption. And I'm sad to say it's not getting better, it's getting worse.
Do you think that Americans know that?
No.
Because, I'm originally from Mexico. In Mexico, I've always said that Mexico's openly corrupt. Everyone just knows it. Whereas America's very quietly corrupt. And you really have to follow the money to understand where the corruption is. But everybody walks around as if it's not corrupt, which I find very odd. I don't know, coming from...
Well, we're Americans, so we don't want to admit that we have corruption. Right?
That makes sense.
It's very un-American. And if we were to admit that and acknowledge that, then we're basically saying we're not safe.
All right.
That makes sense.
And then we live in fear. So it's easier for most people to live falsely believing that they're safe when they're really not.
That makes sense. I mean, I do feel safer in America.
Yeah. What do you? Well, let's say that you went on vacation somewhere, right, with your family,
Okay.
to a beautiful place, and you stayed in a house. You had a great vacation, wonderful time. I felt safe, happy. You come home. While you were staying at that house on vacation, there was a man that came into the house, and he was in the house for about 10 minutes. And he walked throughout the house. He walked into your room. He looked at you and your husband. He walked in, he looked at your kids, walked around. For some reason, whatever it was, he left and didn't cause any harm. Do you want to know? You're already home. The vacation's over. Do you want to know?
Probably not.
Why?
That would give me a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty anxious person. So that would not help.
I prefer not to know. Because you can just live your life and everything's going okay.
Yeah, but in this scenario, it does impact us.
It does? But what can you do about it?
I can move.
You can move.
I can. I don't know that everybody.
Exactly.
You can.
Not everybody can.
Not everybody can. I think we eventually want to end up in Europe. Just I think the food supply and the regulation. I don't know.
So if you do, find out, right, that something's going on and it's going on right now, but there's nothing you can do about it. And then finding that out, if you actually follow the trail, leads you to learn that the politicians you trust are actually corrupt and they're on the take and the judges aren't trustworthy, then, and you don't have the means to do anything about it. Now what? Is your life better off now knowing? Or is it
No,
better off?
I see what you mean.
Right.
No, absolutely. I get it. Yeah. I think everybody just ignores things. Ignorance is a bliss.
So someone tells you, hey, there was a man in your house that you stayed at with your family and told you everything that I just told you. And then another person comes and says, no, that's not true. You got the wrong house. Who do you want to believe?
The one telling me it's not true.
That's right.
So what can the average American, what can they do?
Make a choice to be uncomfortable and to live in, fear and understand that maybe they're not as safe and then choose to do something about it. But that's a hard choice to make because you can go your whole life and just get by and realize that really most of what's going on isn't really going to affect me unless, I choose to get involved. It's easier to just turn a blind eye. It's easier to be complacent. That's what I talked about in my speech.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah, complacency.
I think the school system teaches us to kind of be complacent
Sure,
and follow. And, it's all, and now with so many distractions, social media.
We get trained to, fall in line with the rest of the herd, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I guess you guys don't. As lawyers, think you're probably the one group that gets taught to think critically. Although I'd argue a
little bit in law school.
More than the rest of the population.
That a lot of law schools teach you how to just be part of the institution. And most lawyers just go out and become part of that. Mm-hmm. Not many law schools out there, professors, are teaching you to become a renegade. And if you want to effectuate change, that's what you have to be. Somebody who's going to go against the norm. Someone who's, let me find an exact definition, renegade. A person who deserts and betrays an organization, country, or set of principles. Person who abandons the religious, political, or philosophical beliefs that he or she used to have and accepts opposing or different beliefs. So, I see a renegade, at least in the practice of law, as somebody who's going to stand against the norm, somebody who's going to go against the flow, someone who's going to say, no, you know what? I'm not standing for that. I'm going to fight it. So I see it in a positive sense. I always work to be a renegade.
Do you think most lawyers are like that?
No, I don't.
Why?
I think the ones that have effectuated change are, right? And it doesn't mean, you're going, it's not a bad thing.
Right.
Right?
It's
not
when
a bad thing.
When it's right, when it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. So there's a song, it's called The Renegades of Funk, Rage Against the Machine.
Okay.
Since the prehistoric ages and the days of ancient Greece, right down through the Middle Ages, planet Earth kept going through changes. And then the Renaissance came, and times continued to change. Nothing stayed the same, but there were always renegades. Like Chief Sitting Bull, Tom Paine, Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. They were renegades of their time and age. So many renegades.
Did something happen that made you consciously decide that you wanted to be a renegade? Was there a particular trigger?
I've been a renegade my entire life.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your first memory of being a renegade?
Being in school and seeing a teacher not treat somebody the way they should be treated and being the one person to stand up and probably didn't handle it the best way that I should have. But I had a choice of words and got kicked out of school for it.
I have a child like that. He has a very strong sense of fairness, and he will always stand up for the person that he believes is being wronged.
Mm-hmm.
And he's fiery.
That's awesome.
So I'm sure he's going to get kicked out at some point.
Well, you should listen to Rage Against the Machine.
I will. Is that your song?
It's one of them.
What are the other ones?
Oh, boy. I like Johnny Cash a lot.
Okay.
And Johnny Cash was a rebel and a renegade, for sure.
You like rebels.
I do. If they're rebelling for the right reason.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And if they're standing up for the right people.
Yeah.
Johnny Cash would go into prisons and do concerts. He was always talking about the people that were forgotten. The people that everybody else condemned or looked down upon. That's what I love about him.
Are you an empath? Do you feel things a lot?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I could see that.
I wouldn't go out and say that.
Why?
Because, hi, my name's Nick Rowley. I'm an empath. How are you? Are you an empath?
I want you to do that next time you speak. I want you to open that way.
Me to open that way?
Yeah, and just let everybody know. Yeah.
Okay, you asked yes.
I wonder if it's like a superpower that all of you guys have that are like amazing trial lawyers, this like ability to connect to emotion, because I can like feel it.
I would say that I strive to be empathic. I don't want to identify myself as, I am an empath.
Well, what I mean is,
are you an empath? I'm an empath.
do you feel things strongly?
Let's always work to be empathic. Yes, I feel things strongly. And by doing that, I would like to think that I'm able to, feel what you're feeling, care about what you care about.
And pass that on to the jury?
Yes. But it takes work,
I
right?
bet.
It takes intention, patience, being a good listener.
You seem very present person.
It takes
Maybe
work.
I'm wrong, but
I'm here.
But even earlier, when you had like people coming up to you one after the next, like you stayed with them, you were very present.
Because I chose to be.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
You can choose to be.
I'm not saying you can't. I think for most people it is hard though.
Yeah, learn to be in the moment. There are a lot of things that you can do to learn to be in the moment. You can meditate. You could just breathe, take some breaths.
Do you do
there's
breath
so
work?
much. I do breath work. There's
Like
so
Wim
much.
Hof style?
Wim Hof sometimes.
I've done it before.
Have you done it in cold water?
No, I'm
Might
really
help you with
afraid.
your allergy.
I'm afraid to do that. I think I would need somebody there because they say to be careful because you can faint.
You don't have to go,
Am I just a scaredy cat?
crazy.
I think I'm a scaredy
Right?
cat.
You do a few minutes, give it a try. Try 60 seconds and do some fire breathing.
Yeah, I'll try it with someone present.
And then have someone count the hives on your body.
It's only if I do heat. Now that I think about it, it was the heat that triggered it. And I've just been scared to do it since.
So what are you going to do?
About?
Yeah, like when you go to your next medical appointment and they ask you about your allergies, are you going to say cold water?
Yeah. I write it down now.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
I'm kidding. I don't do it. I mean, I'm sure it
And
only.
then are you going to tell your kids you might be allergic to cold water too, like your mom?
Yeah.
And then there's going to be this false, self-diagnosis that's going to go on for generations?
You didn't like this allergy of mine, did you?
I don't believe it.
I swear, I broke iron hives. The thing is called cold
It's
urine.
not an allergy. It's just called a reaction because
Okay.
you went from cold water to hot water.
Okay, I'm going to try it again without going to hot because I had done it many times without it. But I did
Try
notice.
the cold showers. Have you done that?
Yeah, I used to do them. But it's the
Did you
water.
get hives?
No. And I felt great when I would do them.
There you go.
I would start my morning that way. First, I'd get morning sun. And my
Get
eyes.
what?
Morning sun.
Okay. That's so important. I didn't mention, get sun on your body, on your face every day. It's so important.
So I would start that. And then I would take a 5-minute cold shower.
Mhm.
And then I would drink coffee.
Good.
Yeah.
5-minute cold shower.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
badass.
it would take
That's as good as a cold plunge.
Well, I was doing maybe that was the other
In
problem.
fact, maybe even a little harder because the water's continuing
Yes.
to hit you.
I know.
And you've got air versus the cold plunge, you're just in it.
Yeah, because with the cold plunge, at some point, you can like warm yourself up.
Yeah.
With the cold shower, you can't.
No, it's just coming at you.
Yeah.
So the Airbnb that Courtney and I have right now in Seattle, my cold showers look like this. It's not I'm so annoyed by this new technology that, especially when it comes to like your bathtubs and showers, you should have a knob. You turn the knob and the water comes out. No, this thing, it's like a digital thing. And you push a button and then the shower head and these jets and this other shower head. So you push the button, you push the other button, then it goes, pow, and it just shoots out at you.
Can you select the temperature?
Well, yes, but it's a pain in the ass. You have to like do it after it's already on. But I don't need to check the temperature or change it because it comes out cold.
Okay.
So my cold shower, Courtney really laughed yesterday because of course I'm butt ass naked and we're up, at 5 a.m. so I get in, boom.
You brace yourself?
Right. Because it shoots out so fast. You can't like edge your way into it because you have to be in there and push the button. So I do this and then I turn to the left and she's sitting there, laughing at me. So I'm taking the cold water.
The resistance
Yeah,
right
it's
before?
pretty funny. And
Yeah.
she goes to the other shower, which is on the same floor of the house we're in, where you don't have to push the button. And she goes, why are you doing it here and not there? I said, I don't know. Maybe I enjoy this.
I think it's good to do hard things you don't want to do.
Right. But it's more difficult than, okay, the cold shower's on. Now I'm going to get in with, than just, and then, it shoots out hard. And it makes a sound. It's a blast like.
See, in Miami, the water is just not cold. It's like lukewarm.
I bet you could get a system.
You're right. I do need to look into that because
you should.
That's missing in my life. I felt really great when I was doing this religiously. I would do it religiously, every day.
You should be able to. I'm sure there's a system.
You're right. There is. I just need to take the time to research it or have
Christmas
someone.
present. Honey, I need cold showers again.
Oh, yeah. No, actually, I think I can just tell him and he'll do it, actually. He's very sweet.
Good. There you go.
Yeah, I will tell him. I think he likes doing things.
Good.
I'm lazy. Yeah. Okay. Well, one last question. What are you excited about?
What am I excited about?
Yeah.
I'm excited about learning more and really hitting the next level, whatever that is being better, learning how to, do a better job with everything in life. That's exciting. I'm at a point now where I look at the world and there's so much to learn. There's so much to experience. I'm so grateful to be in a place where I actually am able to seek out those resources and do it.
Wait, are you the person that told Bob about some doctor somewhere?
Yes.
Can you give me that info?
Yeah, that's Resilience Code in Colorado.
Okay.
Resilience Code.
We did a concierge doctor in Miami and it was complete bullshit.
Yeah, this is the next level.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, we need to do that actually.
Then sharing what it is that I learn and experience with others. That's great. That feels good. I learn something and I get to share it with you or share it with, other people out there, teaching other people. I'm excited, to see what happens with our justice system. I really think that even though we might have laws, that are being put in place and the corruption might be, worse than it's ever been. And we're in, these times that seem really dark with who knows what's going to happen, with the election, right? But I believe that it's the darkest before the dawn, that the light is there, and that sometimes we have to go through a really scary, dark period, where it seems like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. But it's when it's really, really dark, pitch black, and when it's, the most scary, if we're willing to continue to move forward, that's when we start to see that crack of light. And that's when we get to the other end.
You think there's hope?
I do. I'm an optimist.
I can tell.
So I'm excited to see what happens with our world. I see the cases that are being won throughout the country and the information that's being shared, the way that lawyers are learning now and supporting one another makes me feel really good and proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think the young generation's really a great generation.
There's a lot of not just hope, but there are resources that exist now that weren't there when I became a lawyer.
Like what?
Look at what we're doing right here, right?
I mean, the ability to connect with people is...
Yeah, the proof is in the pudding, these amazing seminars. And Mardi Gras is just phenomenal. And we've got other programs popping up and a good word is being spread.
Well, thank you so much. I know you're the busiest person. Everyone told me you would not do this and you did it. So I really appreciate it.
Right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much to Nick Rowley for everything he shared with us today. If you found this story valuable, please share it with someone you want to see succeed. Subscribe so you never miss an episode and leave a 5-star review. It goes a long way to help others discover the show. See you next week.